Here's a little known secret for your lovely mind to consider sweet. Real men comprehend the understanding that they are representations and representatives of the clitoris of God. Perhaps there is something to be said about the art of death and dying, written by everyone. Acceptable affirmation for freedom of choice. XYZ PDQ. Reliably steady, steadfast, more and more circumstances and or attempts to foment me from our capacity of lowering elevated instatements of our love are faltering. Transmutations are growing into a quickening as the methodology has been integrating deeper in my subconscious flow of interactivity with sensory awareness, bringing our interactive consciousness into a symbiosis that lends the process of reverse osmosis to comforting levels of adaptability that imbue strengthening of this interdependent bond through our evolution of character. As this union parallels easements into being second nature, where fluidity of action allows through thought to rest assured in an innate pending breath of potential. As a calming placidity awaits rippling winds, settling the sails on autopilot, freeing up for a keening of navigations. XYZ PDQ. Thick and Thin is going to be a for better or for worse world. Until then, how am I believing my own lies and the lures of assumption? As for this well of wills here, that douse of wickedry in tallows to flit flame, to function in Halloweeny to pumpkin? A murder of greedy finders keepers, and a guild of masked bandit retrievals. During an enduring afternoon with Cold Crow, who was severely punished by being left standing out overnight in the brisk, chilling temperatures, with his tongue frozen to the flagpole for refusing to speak, proof of his non-native learnings, even after being thawed free with a pot of heated water the next morning. And yet, is it no wonder for his whole life never was clocked as having spoke one audible word, whose only language of communication, besides perhaps signaling with flip of finger or whatnot, were written in Japanese poetic style known as haiku, typically 5 by 3 to 5 words per line. These poems, such as the one his counselor was left opportune to read before finding him frozen in a ditch on the side of the road on his drive home from the Canadian orphanage of Indigenous children, body of being pecked at and picked over by a small carrion-eating party of wintering crows, just precisely as he'd written himself into that final haiku before his ghastly apparent demise. All purportedly true through the travels of the visiting philanthropers' historical documentation. From Cold Crow's resurrections of spirit, one began to ruminate and have daily conversations with local crows before afternoon naps, unfamiliarizing one's awareness with one's elf and slipping into a doze during where and when transfers of perceptivity to seeing from the gleam of a hosting crow's splicingly focusing eyes recurrently occurred. Never knowing which of the murder were going to pick one up from the limb outside the second-story window during these spiriting hitchhikes. Over time, these lucrative, soulful juxtapositions moved into other hex nexus-willing creatures. A local stray, mostly feral, broken-tailed cat that for an unknown comprehension of reason always seemed to get pestered by one crow or another, so obnoxiously that those excursions only lasted a few years, and eventually for more enduring flights under what was usually the 3/4 moon at night, with a screech owl whose ancestors had eaten freshly filleted trout heads hidden aloft up in a hawthorn tree where they were inaccessible to scavenging rats, possum, and masked troops of raccoon. Had been working with a pair of blue jays in the neighborhood that had proven unsuccessful. One could think they may be scared of or have too much respect for those nest-raiding, egg-thieving crows. Recently had been eyeing a new member of visiting company for plausible membership, being a squirrel whose mate had become roadkill on the street below, recurrently visiting the branches around the crow's perch, save alas, they joined their partner a week or so later under the wheels of one of those beeping Amazon delivery vans. Leaves one to wonder of how relations could be were one to live further towards rural suburbs out on the borders of what is coping with life's struggles within city limits. Out where there are lessons bordering on what borders all that seems could be a lie. Scrapping awarenesses from consciousnesses zombified with the mark of that synthetic beast glowing on their foreheads, bowed over to poor posturings in their enslavements of their own self-mastery. Oblivious to familiars may take quite a sum of time. Save, what is time if other than bucket listings filling a well invested for futures to drop, unspooling for pull-ups to spend on investment? Indifferent to indignancy? Is there a what to an alternative? Genuine trust broken, borders invaded, takeover imminent. Has AI usurped and surpassed our dream carriage and earned communicative status as false signal for white flag wavers, sight seeing red bullseye, terminating by Terminator status? A Bram Stoker's version of John and Sarah Connor conning Comic-Con artists? Cartoonists controlling the narratives? Arena as flooded and released after last harvest was and wills to be reaped as the shaft falls before the shear's share of cornucopia. Remainders to be are stocked for those cats looking after our stores here. Protect your peace and disturb the undisturbed tracks of our fallout to preserve what's nuclear to thaw from our frosty window etchings here. Or anywhere you may learn a fresh glyph to vigil sigil. Mirror of postulation, two or more may mend a broken heart. Cheops of Giza, getting to the heart and cosmology of the matter, with major vortices of arterial alignments linked to Orion and Sirius, amongst others, when functional as a vortices and or pump, and rhythmic amplifier of cosmic interdependence. One or more may, as might, reach for the resounding conclusiveness in recurrent being as a capacitor in the king's chamber, so-called king, living as a seat of the arc of cardiovascular to nervous fascia, in covenant as gargantuan ICNS, intrinsic cardiac nervous system, or the brain of the heart. So the Great Pyramid wasn't just a water pump energy generator when functionally working in its prime. Proposed, it was a cosmically aligned heart, benefiting the grid working of all life, aligning within the cosmic dance of veritas between major bodies of gravitas amidst this community hour. Minute. Second hand, the Great Pyramid as a functionally and large-scale reflection of a heart. Yeah, I'm thinking over the there was a character in Asterix. They carried around these giant boulders, these obelisks. You know, they say that, yeah, anyway, well, we might clip this out because that comic artist was questionably thought of as possibly a racist, or had Nazi ideology intermingled into his comics, but I don't know about that. Because I'm translucent, you know. I'm all spirit, no ancestry in the flesh here. This time's This time's glyph we are resurrecting from the mythical language of Zebu. Yeah. That we are bringing enlightening to legend as is Comida. Comida. Comida means freedom. The color is purple, gemstone rock quartz, physical body, the arms. Freedom involves all aspects. It has options. It tends to all things. Freedom speaks to all. Reach for it to make it yours. It whispers in mankind's ears. It must be louder. It creates connections. It is meant to be shared. Blessings from Comida, from me to you. I think it also I don't know how it's spelled, but it might mean food in some language I'm closest kin to besides English, but I'm not sure. Thanks for all your thumbs up and hitchhikers who've and or who like, share, and subscribe to this ride. May any of y'all and all their blessings lend you a crafty sensitivity to your worthiness of listens for feels. Akashawa.